The following video, although discussing actual Genshin Impact lore, is a parody of true crime content. Although I do have a bone to pick with certain aspects of modern-day true crime content, ultimately I'm just here to be goofy and present lore in an interesting way. Although I think it's obvious the ad read in this video is a joke. It's a bit. I'm not actually sponsored by anyone. It's joke. This isn't a visuals-heavy video, so if you want to pop over to another tab, feel free to do so. Now, let's get on with the video. Gloomy day, my spooky ooky true crime gremlins. I am so excited for today's episode because we have a massive update on a very, very old case from Sumeru. We're talking hundreds of years old kind of cold case. Today we'll be talking about the mysterious death and later to be found murder of Dastur Shoreh. I'm sure some academia students who follow me probably already know this case. Like I said, this is a very old case. But we have a lot to talk about today, so grab some drinky drinks and snacky treats and let's talk about Shoreh. Shoreh was a Dastur in the Sumeru Academia and she was part of the Mondstadters. So the Academia has several tiers of students and researcher. A Dastur means that she had 2 of her theses pass review and get published, and her school of study Amorda is biology and stuff. The story used to be that she was killed by Rishbal and tigers while on a research trip. It's a tragic story of someone succumbing to nature. But here's the thing. There's always been some really weird things about Shoreh's death. There were rumors that some strange things had happened on the trip and later her body was exhumed. Why would you exhume a body of a tiger victim unless you thought maybe that wasn't the case? But these have all been rumors until recently when some documents out in the wild were found and now we have a fuller picture of what really happened to Shoreh. We still don't have the whole picture as the Academia has been refusing to comment on the situation, but I think we can all see what happened. As far as we can tell, the research trip was going as planned until Shoreh started to befriend one of the trainee Dasturs on the team, a young and handsome researcher named Zondik. Those are her words, not mine. I have no idea what he looks like. Everyone in this case has been dead for hundreds of years, so we're just gonna have to take her word for it. Still, I don't know, maybe it's a little morbid, but I wonder what he looks like. I need to know if she had good taste or not. Also, before anyone asks, I don't know what a trainee Dastur means. I would assume it means only one of his theses had passed, but I don't know. I really don't know. If you're an academia student, could you please tell me in the comments what the position is for realsies? I couldn't really find any information on that. Anyway, Shoreh says that this researcher Zondik and her didn't initially get along. She said, quote, "He's too rigid and the research approach of his darshan has nothing in common with Amorda. As a result, we have nothing to talk about." But it seems like they got over this and started chatting more as they were exploring the forest. The adventurer who found this page of Shoreh's research log said that it looked like it had been torn out and left behind. I would assume Shoreh would have taken it out herself because it feels more like a diary entry, but thinking about what happens later, I wouldn't be surprised if it was actually Zondik who tore it out. Anyway, they started getting along and eventually they agreed to have a picnic one night. However, this is sadly the night that Shoreh would be seriously injured. What we knew previously was she and Zondik had been attacked by Rishbal and tigers during their picnic that night. I couldn't find any records of how injured, if at all, Zondik was, but Shoreh was barely alive after the attack. Already, that's kinda suspicious. It's totally possible that he was heavily injured too, and the records that would have confirmed that just didn't survive. But I wholeheartedly think Shoreh was the only one injured from some reasons I can't get into quite yet. And if I'm right, then how could have Shoreh been the only one injured? Did Zondik just abandon her? Or was the Rishbal and tiger attack faked and Zondik was the one to injure her to the point where it was believable she'd been attacked by wild animals? We don't know how much time passed, but Shoreh died and was buried out in the wild. And this is where we have some new information, although I don't really know how it fits into the story, but it's new information, so I figured I might as well talk about it. Either right before or right after Shoreh died, a terrifying killing machine attacked the expedition and Zondik was the one to save everyone. But apparently enough damage had been done and the expedition was cut short. Ugh, you couldn't pay me to go out in the wilds of Sumeru. Mondstadt already has enough weird stuff. I can't imagine exploring a place with way more crevices for things to hide in. But anyway, we didn't initially know why the expedition had ended early, but this kind of confirms why it had. Back at the Academia, others were suspicious about the circumstances around Shoreh's death. I don't know how much time had passed from the researchers returning to this point, but ultimately, the decision was made to exhume Shoreh's body and perform an autopsy. I hope it wasn't too long after she was buried, since digging up a decomposing body would probably be hard. I doubt they had a coffin on hand to put her in. The exhumation would have definitely been easier if they'd heard about today's sponsor, Wangsheng Funeral Parlor. Death could be just around the corner, so it's best to be prepared and get your funeral arrangements set before you die. Wangsheng Funeral Parlor is Liyue's premier funeral provider. Their knowledgeable staff will help you in every step of planning and prepping for your special day. Take comfort in knowing that everything will go smoothly after you've passed away. Wangsheng Funeral Parlor is currently holding a super amazing sale. For a limited time only, customers will get one coffin free with any one coffin purchase. Coffins can be, super expensive, so this deal is insanely good. But it's ending soon, so make sure to take advantage of the deal before it's too late. Thank you to Wangsheng Funeral Parlor for sponsoring this video, and let's get back into our cold case. So, Shoreh's body was exhumed, and there were some interesting things found. Now, remember, she'd been previously attacked by tigers, allegedly, and a lot of her injuries did line up with that. They found several lacerations on her body. That's just medical talk for cuts going through the skin and into the tissue. There was bruising on her internal organs, and multiple trauma wounds. The medical report also spoke about hemorrhaging, which I'm sure at the time of the expedition seemed like the cause of death. But here's where things get weird. The forensic pathologists were able to determine that the fatal injury to Shohreh was on her neck. What remains of the record doesn't explicitly say what it was, but they know that she had a fractured hyoid bone. This itself wouldn't have been fatal, but it's a very strong indicator of strangulation. For people who don't know, the hyoid bone is a freestanding bone in your neck. It's not connected to any other bone, it's just there. Now, you can break this in other ways, and it's not necessarily a life-threatening thing, although I'm sure it's pretty unpleasant. But it's very, very common in cases of strangulation to see this. So that's why if one comes up on a medical report, it's a red flag. But what's even more damning is that pathologists made a note that there was evidence of mechanical asphyxia, which is strangulation. We don't know if they're just referring to the broken hyoid bone, but it's likely there was more evidence. However, even with this, the pathologist couldn't determine an actual cause of death and left it as undetermined. But the strangulation is sketchy, super sketchy. And also, think about it. Shohreh was still alive when Zandik brought her back to the camp. The records make note that the researchers were requesting first aid assistance. Now, you could argue it was for him, but that doesn't make sense with the timeline because in later records, they note some time has passed and that's when Shohreh died. Strangulation is an immediate sort of death thing. That means if she was indeed strangled, it would have happened at the camp after the alleged tiger attack. That thought is just horrifying. The whole ordeal is horrifying. You think you're going on a cute little picnic date with a cute guy, only to be savagely attacked by him or thrown to tigers, and when you get back to camp, he finishes the job. All your friends are around you and not one of them knows he's killing you. That's just terrifying. And what's even more terrifying is that he got away with it. If he had been arrested and convicted of her death, we would have had answers ages ago. We're only just getting them now. And since we're on the topic of him, let's quickly talk about Zandik. It was next to impossible to find any information on this guy. I couldn't even figure out what darshan he was in. It honestly feels like history's forgotten this guy. All I can say is that he was a trainee Dastur, he was on this trip, and he wasn't in Amorda. And he's also our main suspect in foul play, allegedly, because he was the one with her when she was attacked. Or he was the one to attack her, allegedly. We still have no idea what his motive would have been. Maybe he wanted credit for something she discovered? Maybe the date just wasn't going the way he wanted? We honestly just don't know. But even then, he's still the most likely suspect. Shohreh's death was already tragic, and with this new information, it somehow got worse. It breaks my heart that she was never able to get justice and her family never got full closure on her death. I don't know if it'll ever be possible for her to get full justice. Her killer, allegedly, is already dead and who knows— Wait, why am I saying allegedly? He's dead. It's not like he can sue me. We all know Zandik killed her. It's incredibly obvious Shohreh was murdered, and it sucks that the academia will never come out and say it. There's still so many holes in this story that we're probably never going to get the full picture unless the documents miraculously somehow get repaired or other documents turn up. And who knows when that'll happen. I'm glad that we were able to get more answers, but it's frustrating. It's really frustrating, you know? But, anyways, thank you everyone for hanging out with me. This has been one of my pet cases for years, so when I got the word that there was an update, I was ecstatic. I'm already working on another video, so I hope you stick around to see it. Thank you to Wangsheng Funeral Parlor for sponsoring this video, and make sure to get your funeral arranged today. I'll see you in my next video where we'll be covering some tragic happenings in Liyue Harbor. Bye, everybody!